Time now for athletics on the SportsMax Zone. Some of the Caribbean's finest were in good form over the weekend globally as preparation ramps up for the World Athletic Championship set for this September in Tokyo, Japan. We begin in Europe where the St. Lucian sprint queen Julian Alfred touched down on Croatian soil and lit up the prestigious Zagreb meeting with a 22.15 clocking in the women's 200 meters. And Ricardo, she remains undefeated this season.
Yeah, she remains undefeated this season, and it was a fantastic performance from her. And I think it's very obvious what Julian Alfred and her coach, Eldrick Florial, are doing for this 2025 season. It is clear that they think, let me say, mastered. She's mastered the 100 meters, the 60 meters, and that they want the sprint double. And they understand that to get the sprint double at the World Championships this year, she has to get stronger. Her speed endurance has to get better. That's part of where she lost out in the Olympic final at 200 meters. And so what have they done? They've worked on that clearly in the off season, but also at the beginning of the season. So she ran 2 300 races indoors. She ran a 400 race indoors as well. And then she started her outdoor campaign, I think, with a 300 as well, and a couple of 200-meter races, because that is the event, the 200 meters, they are trying to improve. That's the one I suspect that they feel they'll have to put in more work if they're going to land the gold medal at the World Championships in Tokyo. And I think we're already seeing a significant difference. She looks significantly stronger to me, Lance. That speed endurance seems in better shape than it has been at any other point of her career. She opened her season with 21.88 and then again looked fabulous with that 22.15 in Zagreb. Note that she hasn't run a 100 race yet this season. She hasn't run a short sprint race this season because she didn't run the 60 indoors either. This is a very deliberate plan to ensure that her 200 improves and that she has a real shot at the sprint double in Tokyo.
Yeah, is there a risk though with this current program that she's on that she may lose some of her raw speed and not be as good in the 100 as she was last year?
I don't think so, and I think especially because the season is longer this time around, so you have more time to play with early parts of the campaign. You're not looking at a July or early August World Championship. It's all the way at the back end of September, so she has time to incorporate speed work and ensure that she is sharp at 100 meters as well. So I'm not worried at all about her losing any of those qualities when she does step down and compete over 100 meters.
Okay, let's move over now to Morocco to discuss the reigning 200-meter world champion Shericka Jackson, who eased the victory over 100 meters at the Wanda Diamond League meet in Rabat. The 30-year-old shrugging off a sluggish start to win in 11.04 seconds. And yes, she was a little bit tardy out of the blocks, but recovered well and won pretty dominantly.
Yeah, you know, I was glued to my television on Sunderlands for this one, and it's because of the conversation that we had recently where I suggested I know of a number of individuals, and certainly when you look on social media, you see the comments that Shericka Jackson was done and that she'd passed her best and would not get anywhere close to it and wouldn't be a factor again and all of those things. And I think I said on this show back then that I can't understand where that is coming from, because we are talking about a 30-year-old who at her very best at 200 meters is better than anyone alive, and some way better than anyone alive as well. And at 100 meters has shown that when she's at her best is among the very best in the world. And so, yes, she had a season last year where she got injured, missed out on competing at the Olympic Games. And obviously, it is going to take some time for her to work herself in. And the fact is, listen, again, it's a long season. There's no need for her to rush her program. And she has two of the best coaches in the history of this game, in the Francis brothers, who know exactly what they're doing and what they're about. I went back today, Lance, and I looked at some numbers for Shericka Jackson because I wanted to do a comparison of what happened last season. In early May, she ran 11.03. She's run 11.04 here. This is at the back end of May. And went to the Nationals at the end of June and ran 10.84 in the final, having gone under 11 seconds 3 times. Now, yes, this is May 25, but what I will say is I get the impression that she's on a similar path to where she was last year. So I fully expect that by the time she gets to the Nationals, she's going to be in 10.7 high shape or 10.8 low shape, which to me should be enough to get her on the team for Tokyo, Japan, if indeed she decides to run both the 100 and 200 meters, because remember, she already has the bye for the 200 meters.
Yes.
So I think she is where she needs to be at this stage of the season, and critically, and she pointed to this in her post-race interview as well, she said she's healthy. That's something that she couldn't say a year ago. And the fact that she's healthy now, I think makes a significant difference to what her immediate future looks like.
Remind me of when exactly her injury issues surfaced last year, because I know her camp
about maybe the year before, about December when she about November, December when she
which is the point
training.
I wanted to make, because you were saying at this time last year she was running 11.03.
Yes.
But I remember
with injury issues.
That's the point I wanted to make.
She had withdrawn, I think, from about her first 2 or 3 meets locally before she finally got going.
So I just wanted that point to come out, that she was pretty much in 11, almost 11 flat shape in May of last year, but with injury concerns.
Yes.
So her injury issues are at the moment, you know, protracted.
Yeah.
So I don't think people should be judging what we have seen from her in the past 6 or 7 weeks in as harsh a way that we've been hearing a lot of people put out on social media.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And as I said, I think she is where she needs to be at this stage of the season. She has the bye for the 200 meters for the World Championships because she is the defending champion. If she decides to double, or well, if her coach decides that she will double, then she will have to make that 100 team, which will not be easy. But based on what I saw yesterday, I am comfortable that she will be okay.
Just before we wrap this segment, a quick comment on Christopher Taylor, off on a ban, breach in drug testing.
Anti-doping rule violation.
2.5 years. Looked good on Saturday, 45.66.
Yeah.
How good did he look?
And I tell you something, Lance, we're going to talk about this in more detail tomorrow.
Yes.
But I just want to say I was at the meet on Saturday. And for most of it, I must admit, unfortunately, it was pretty flat and pretty lame. And the moment the announcer said, in lane number 3, Christopher Taylor, the air around the National Stadium just changed.
Yes.
There was a buzz. All of a sudden, everyone seemed excited that he was back. And I guess anxious to see what he would deliver as well. And when he got out of the blocks and went through the first 100 meters, like everyone just stood up, wow, what is going on here? Because that's how impressive he started. He blazed out of the blocks, ran the first 200 really quickly, and held on down the stretch pretty well. A few things that stood out to me, he looks bigger, especially his upper body, like he's really done some work in the time that he was off. And his form looked better to me as well than before he left. So I thought it was really good. Spoiler alert, I hear his focus is not going to be the 400 meters.
Well, that may not be that much of a bad decision. We'll see how it works out, because he does have raw speed to work with going 200 meters. We go to break, back with more on the zone after this.